Welcome back to Event and Tech Show 2020. Going back to the main stage agenda, we would like to invite our next speaker on stage, Joon from Pigeonhole Live. Joon is the co-founder and chief business officer at Pigeon Lab. With 10 years experience working with event agencies and corporate communication pros, he is well versed with the evolving audience engagement requirements from emerging event formats. He drives worldwide adoption of the audience interaction tool Pigeonhole Live by MNCs and event agencies, including Fortune 500 companies like GSK, Medtronic, and Unilever. He's a connoisseur of French wines and durians, though not necessarily together. His topic of sharing is a new normal, interacting with your audience in a post-pandemic world. The demands of live audience interaction have shifted with the changing tides. Joon, co-founder of Pigeonhole Live, shares his learnings as the platform adapts to clients' evolving needs through the pandemic. He also shares how these learnings have translated to continuous improvements and new features to make Pigeonhole a complementary platform to the user's overall tech stack, and reasserting the company's dedication to driving meaningful audience engagement at events and meetings. Joon, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joon from Pigeonhole Live. Past few months have not been easy for all of us in the meetings industry, navigating the new norms in a post-pandemic world. Our team in Pigeonhole Live have learned a lot from our community of users and partners, and today we would love to share the 3 key pain points of event planners based on our findings and how we have been addressing these pain points so far. Now, before we get there, I will give you a quick introduction of Pigeonhole Live and how our customers have been using Pigeonhole pre-pandemic, so it will give you more context before we move on to sharing what we have learned in engaging your audience in the post-pandemic world. So, what is Pigeonhole Live? Pigeonhole Live is a completely web-based audience engagement platform for presentations, meetings, and events. Our core strength is in interactive Q&A, where your audience can submit and upvote on questions for the speakers. Pigeonhole Live's interactive Q&A is highly customizable to support various moderation requirements, presentation flow, and participants' identity settings. And in fact, we will touch on some of this later in the presentation. And if you have any questions during this presentation, please click on the Q&A link button, and it will bring you to my Q&A session in Pigeonhole Live. That's where you can put on your questions, and I'll be happy to take them at the end of this presentation. Now, aside from interactive Q&A, Pigeonhole Live also support a wide range of real-time poll types. The usual multiple choice polls with text and images, the word cloud, the ratings poll, whether it's in icons, in draggable or numerical scale. And you can also take the quizzes with leaderboard and automatic countdown timer to drive healthy competition among your audience based on the number of questions they answered correctly within the shortest time. It can be quite fun. And you can also build a fully customizable digital agenda for your events, indicating the ongoing and upcoming sessions with detailed speaker profiles. You can also deliver a branded user experience by building your own custom themes and logo, or work with our design team for advanced customizations according to your client's brand guidelines. So being a software as a service SaaS with a freemium business model, Pigeonhole Live is designed with simplicity in mind. For anyone to sign up for a new account, pick a Pigeonhole type, set it up, run a test, and you can implement it right away, easily. And we'll soon turn 10 years old in October this year. And we have really worked hard to earn the support and trust from our amazing clients and our users globally over the years. So pre-pandemic, how did our client profile look like? They are event organizers, meeting planners, internal comms professionals. And what are they using Pigeonhole Live for? Mainly conferences, workshops, town hall meetings, customer meetings, and webinars. So most of the events are still taking place in person, but some of our clients are no stranger in delivering their events in the hybrid formats. And one of them is the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR. And they often organize their consultation summits in cities that are often volatile in nature, which can be risky for some participants to be there in person. So therefore, hybrid events format was the next natural best choice to engage all stakeholders, whether they can be there in person or watching a live stream via the microsite. The stakeholders can use Pigeonhole Live to raise key questions for discussions among the policymakers and decision makers, as well as voting on key humanitarian issues. And when we first ventured onto the internal comms market back in 2011, many organizations have already been using Pigeonhole Live side by side with their choice of video conferencing tools such as Cisco WebEx, Zoom, Skype for Business, you name it. For that reason, before the pandemic, we have already been using or working with various integrations with key video conferencing platforms such as WebEx, Zoom, Skype for Business, and various integrations with other platforms as well, like YouTube, Vimeo, Brightcove, and On24, in delivering the virtual and hybrid event experiences. Of course, a key difference was pre-pandemic, delivering events in virtual or hybrid formats was a choice. We now know that during the pandemic, delivering events in virtual or hybrid format became the only choice. So when pandemic came, global travel came to a halt. Events were either postponed or cancelled altogether. Companies switched to remote working arrangements as a default option, as many countries battling high infection numbers went into multiple rounds of lockdown. As a result, virtual formats became the default option for all meetings and events for the past few months now. And recently, hybrid format with the gradual reopening in some countries. And everyone, including the professional event organizers, the corp comms professionals, the IT teams, and SaaS providers like us, were competing with time to find the best suite of video solutions, platforms, and expertise to deliver these virtual events. And over the past few months of countless collaboration and conversations with our various industry partners and users, there were three key pain points that came up the most based on our finding. Number one, there are more participants than ever. Number two, there are evolving audience behavior that makes us think, how do we want to respond to it? Number three is how do we get the event tech tools to work together to deliver the seamless virtual experience? So for point number one, more participants than ever. Why? With most of the in-person events converted to virtual formats, the audience from respective in-person events now are consolidated into larger virtual events. And these are some numbers that we took from our recent virtual events in banking, medical, and tech sectors. With the increase in the number of participants, we can also expect the volume of audience interactions to go up in Q&A, polls, and surveys. And as for global staff town hall meetings, we have observed a significant increase in the event attendance from the typical 20 to 30% turnout rate pre-pandemic to up to about 80% post-pandemic. And this did not come as a surprise, as the staff are eager to stay informed on the latest in leadership communication on remote work policies, as well as the potential impact that the pandemic will have on their organization. And with the increase in the participants at virtual events, the event planners will need to engage the audience with even more interactive sessions per event, and also expect a spike in the volume of audience interactions during the events. We want to better support our event organizers by providing a wider range of session types to help you to engage your audience more effectively and empower you to manage the increase in the virtual activities and responses with better admin interfaces, and ultimately, of course, to help our event planners to deliver a seamless experience at their events. So to meet these requirements, here are some of the solutions that we have introduced recently. First, we have further improved our agenda display to be highly customizable, that's designed to support multi-track events with diverse range of activities seamlessly. There's now a dedicated video integration for each track or channel, and it supports common video solutions seamlessly, like Zoom, BlueJeans, Brightcove, YouTube Live, Vimeo, and etc. So we have enhanced our support for multiple activities per track or per session. So event planners, you can take advantage of that and organize the various audience interactive sessions like the Q&As, the polls, the quizzes, or even the feedback surveys for the respective tracks, sessions, and speakers. The event planners can also now take advantage of our announcement features for general notifications necessary for any events, or directing the audience traffic to specific interactive activities. Just this week, we have released a new way, it's an improvement to enable you to automate this audience traffic management at specific time points. So once the session is over, the audience will be redirected to the next session that they should be in automatically and hassle-free. We have also enhanced further on our collaborative capabilities on the admin panel to empower our event planners to effectively manage the higher volume of the audience responses, with more participants now at their events. Now there is a real-time visibility for your collaborators to see and work more effectively in tandem with their colleagues. Could be a team of admins to manage the audience questions and responses. And on top of that, we have also introduced a way for event planners to assign these questions or responses for their colleagues or specific admins for further reviews. And they can also archive those questions that are no longer current, so that the audience is always viewing the most current questions, responses at any sessions that they're attending right now. So we come to point number 2, which is a lot more intricate. With the increase in participants, we naturally would see, observe evolving audience behavior during the virtual events. And we may understand the hints of the reasons in explaining why so, if you take a look what's happening around us as the context. So during the pandemic, there's definitely a shift in the tone of events, especially for internal staff meetings, to a crisis communication mode. So with the almost global shift to remote work, corporate comms professionals and company leadership are looking for ways to continue engaging their employees globally. And steering a company through a pandemic requires the leadership's commitment and effective communication channels to stay engaged with their employees and address their immediate concerns in a timely fashion. So on the employees' end, they are surrounded by the increasing talks about the most serious recession since the Great Depression. And they are definitely concerned about their job security and livelihood, coupled with the mental health impact on the workforce, of having lives disrupted by the need to quarantine, stay home, and fear over the rising cases of COVID-19 situations. These negative emotions could often translate into offensive, damaging, or sometimes trolling behavior on public forums like a virtual global town hall. And therefore, for a tool like us, there must be more advanced moderation options in audience engagement platforms to empower the meeting host to engage in meaningful conversations amidst the challenging times. So the first solution is quite basic. It's question filtering. This is a basic moderation function to ensure every audience question has been reviewed by a team of admins, and it is an opportunity for the admins to dismiss any harmful or offensive questions that may arise. Now, building on that, we have also built in the capability for admins to provide direct replies. And that is to provide a channel for the admins and speakers to engage on questions that may not fall within the scope of the agenda today. And that gives them a direct way to respond to a question that they want to dismiss, to engage the participant constructively, but in a private and safe space. And on top of that, the admins can also provide answers in a text format if they are not able to address them in time during the 1 or 2 hour call globally. So these are good options for us to improve the audience engagement with the speakers in different ways. We have also introduced an option for meeting hosts to restrict the audience viewing their own questions only, as opposed to the ability to view others' questions and upvoting on them. And this is especially useful in creating a private and safe one-to-one chat environment for speakers and admin to engage with the participants in a conversation in response to the question raised. And for some of the organizations, we have also worked with them to implement attendee SSO and restricted IP whitelists to ensure that there is a secure enterprise environment to enable these highly intricate conversations to take place. Even this, with this enterprise security settings in place, the anonymous option remains available, so that to create the safe space needed to surface and address some of these key concerns in the organizations. So, coming to the third point, and the most important one, how do we then get the various event tech tools to work together? You know, with this pandemic, it has definitely brought the meetings and events industry partners closer than before. Event organizers and tech vendors like us have been stepping up, exchanging notes, and getting creative in delivering a seamless all-in-one solution for our virtual events. And the end result is we are focused in ensuring that Pigeonhole Live stays compatible with other tools on the market, with the goal in delivering an integrated virtual experience for your audience. And our product team has worked hard to ensure that Pigeonhole Live is able to adapt to other great event tools out there for those who choose to adapt a best of breeds option. And so far, we're happy that we have launched key integrations with our partners in Zoom, in Cisco WebEx, Brightcove, Kaltura, Sugo, BrainFocus, Splash, and more to come. We want to be easy for our partners or clients to deliver that integrated experience, just plug and play. So we are also committed to the MICE industry to tide through this challenging period. Since early February, we have really started making all video integrations free, and we have recently extended this to the end of 2020. And for event planners and the event tech companies in the audience today, we are also keen to partner with you. Our doors are open. So, what's next? Virtual and hybrid events are definitely here to stay. And future of work, that goes without saying, is now a reality. So platforms like MS Teams and Slack are popular avenues for collaborations, meetings, and live events. Even more so with the spike that we saw in the adoption of these platforms post-pandemic. We believe that's where we are going to see more immersive type of engagement moving forward from now as emerging behavior in the long run. So we have launched our Pigeonhole Live app in the MS Teams recently, and in time to come, we'll be happy to share our findings. And point number 3, audience behavior will continue to evolve. As a technology company like us providing an audience engagement platform, especially during the challenging transitions like the pandemic, empathy is key when it comes to us making decisions on feature improvements or developing new features on a product like Pigeonhole Live. We must continue to listen to our partners, like corporate communication professionals, professional event organizers, tech partners, and most importantly, our audience. In this way, we can do our part by delivering a product that will drive meaningful audience engagement and conversations, no matter in person, virtual, hybrid, or whatever form it takes in the future. So thank you so much for your attention today. I hope you have found our presentation insightful, and I'm happy to take any questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joon, for collecting the data and extracting these helpful insights to share with the industry. Having tried this interactive Q&A tool on Event and Tech Show 2020, actually I find the interface very friendly, and this is the best time for you to post your questions to the very owner of this brilliant interactive product. Similar to previous session, you may access the QR code and in order for you to go into the Pigeonhole Live for this particular session, from which you can type your comments, share your opinions, or even have a shout out to Joon. Okay, right now, let me see, Pigeonhole Live. Okay, we have some questions coming in. So let me hand over the time back to Joon, and he can answer some of your questions from the ground. Joon, please.
And hope it has been productive to you. Happy to take the questions from here. So I see the top question is, will Pigeonhole be more than a Q&A platform in future? In a way, we are already more than just a Q&A platform. That's where we first started. That's where we are very passionate about in driving meaningful conversations by bringing the often underrated Q&A to attention, so that provide everyone with a voice to ask questions that would drive the conversation on stage. I think since then we have, as a shader, heavily gone into bringing in other types of interactions like polls, MCQ polls, quizzes, open-ended polls, word cloud, or survey, because we recognize that conversation is not just about asking questions; it's also about getting information that you want in a quick way during the presentation itself to get the momentum of the conversation going. That's what we are focusing on, and we are moving forward. Session is definitely going into a lot more micro discussions in nature, as we are more familiar with building discussions around a topic, and we want to enable this kind of conversations to be captured, and provide further insights. Valuable insight to our meeting hosts, who could be someone like FNF hosting this event for public conferences, customer events, as well as for internal CopComs, to better understand what's going on the ground, especially during challenging times like this. So next question. What best practices would you recommend when using a tool like Pigeonhole Live during virtual events? I think, first of all, ideal user experience of participants, it must be the starting point, because that's where you're going to a clue of what are the technologies that you need to put together to make this happen. If Pigeonhole Live is part of the tools that you are considering, great. And I think the most important part is how would you place the interaction points during the event itself. How do these interaction points bring value to the conversation or the presentation for the speakers or for the panel discussions during the event, or even post-event data analysis of this data that's collective engagement. And more importantly, from a participant point of view, it must be easy to go in there and really use it for effective communication, because tech is just tech, is nothing unless it is a tool that can enable a process which in this case is audience, for them to ask students, for them to be engaged via polls, via micro discussions and surveys. So next question, by designer. Thank you for signing in. And this Q&A is not integrated into the main site. It's kind of disjoint A. I think that's a feedback that we definitely would bring back to the organizing team. We usually, the process goes as we will share what the best is, and of course the onus is on the meeting host to decide how best they can build the experience. So definitely we'll bring this to the organizer regards to feedback. Thank you very much though. Keep the feedback coming so that we can get with the event organizer. So the next two questions seems to be connected. So what creative features do you have as compared to conventional review and Q&A functions? And of course, how does your platform compare to other similar services such as Poll Everywhere and Slido? So I think the important questions that revolve around this tool is how do our users decide on which is the best tool that can support them? And again, our principle in terms of our design is simplicity. Simplicity for event organizers to set it up, have a testing environment to get a feel of how it's going to be like for the various stakeholders of the event, and implementation. And simplicity for the participants to get in there to do what they need to do, whether it's for Q&A, for polls, for quizzes, and they must enjoy the experience. The simplicity definitely is something that drives them. And that's our core focus. And as I have shared during my presentation earlier, we have inbuilt flexibility within Pigeonhole to support the various requirements which is evolving by the day, especially in the climate of virtual and hybrid events. Therefore, the newer features that I have shared earlier, including the variety of the Q&A margin to adapt to the latest requirements of larger things that expect large volume of response. It empowers the organizers to really, have the ability to go without moderation or with moderation. What kind of moderation is sufficient for them to drive home the message at the end of the day, and yet still provide a very, very constructive, safe space for conversations to happen. Customizing in terms of the agenda display, in terms of the support for multi-track sessions and multiple activities in the same track, are seemingly simple issues when it comes to participants experiencing it, but complex when it comes to planning the tool, the design of the tool to support them. So we have gone through many iterations to make sure that we have this flexibility to support the breadth of requirements, and the tools that we have inbuilt to enable multi-track sessions, nesting in any sessions, audience tool to make sure that even if your audience are in person, attending the event in person, it's a challenge to get them to be at the same place, at the same to respond to something in real time. And when you bring it to the hybrid or virtual is of a different level. So we have these features built, and we have streamlined so that our users can use this to make sure that when you have planned activities for your users, you can redirect them, and you can get the engagement that you want during the time frame of the events. Definitely comprehensive support for event planners to implement Pigeonhole, whether it's for a small or large event, and of course integrations with the different tech tools are very important, and what we have been working very hard on during the past year, ever since the start of 2020. And we have also made it available for free until the end of the year, so that it is our way to really reaching out to the various meeting organizers, be it you are a small meeting organizer for 5 to 10 people, or someone who's organizing 1,000, 10,000, or 20,000, even 100,000 people. You are able to use Pigeonhole alongside with the tools that would support other important elements of the virtual event experience. So that brings me to the last point, which we are. It is very important for us to focus, especially when it comes to scaling to support the larger scale virtual events now, which is stability. So whatever things that we do, we want to make sure that our technology is at the core of the product to make sure that our participants, if you have tens of thousands of people, it still does what it needs to do within the reaction time that they expect, like within that second. Because nowadays, if it takes more than 2 seconds, something is not working. So that's still very important for us to ensure the product, as we put in more, it has the stability to deliver the experience that our users are looking for. So that I think that sums up for that. So next, what's your revenue goal? So as I've shared earlier, Pigeonhole is a SaaS, software as a service. It's a freemium business model. So our users can use Pigeonhole on a per event or on an annual basis. So for August, they have only 1 or 2 events. Take up the time Pigeonholes for your event, so that it reduces your financial commitment to things that you may not need for the rest of the year. Just one. And we also have the free, which is quite powerful. We would like it to make sure that as many meeting organizers try to transition to use tools like Pigeonhole to further increase their audience engagement events, whether virtual now or hybrid in the future, to do so free to. Of course, if you need more advanced moderation abilities or the advanced features, you need to go up to the premium plans. And we work with enterprise customers on enterprise-wide contracts as well, where they would use Pigeonhole across organizations for internal meetings. That's where we would craft out bespoke enterprise agreements for them as well. Next, great that Pigeonhole is integrating with tools like Zoom. Notice that it is currently only for Zoom that do not require registration, but this is not secure. Hope to see further improvements. Definitely, I think with Zoom, there was a security fiasco where I think the Zoom did a great job in addressing the security concerns, and they're still working on it. And like us, we are looking for a solution to work with Zoom to make sure that the not only the experience from a participant's point of view is good, seamless, but security when it comes to the meeting organization when they're using it for an event, to make sure that there's no Zoom bombing, etc. I think something that we are committed to deliver. Speak to us. We have ways to ensure that when you're using Zoom Pigeonhole integration, security concerns are being taken care of with certain security settings. Next, I think the last question is, do you have a tool or function for leads generation? This is a great question. depends on how you see it. Leads generation, if to define it, would be you organize an event, and hopefully after that, you generate a list of contacts that potentially turn into a business opportunity. And we don't so-called have a feature that's called lead generation tool. But by using a tool like Pigeonhole Live for audience engagement, every time when the audience asks a question and you know who asked it, you know what this person is thinking about when they're constructing question, and definitely, and it's an area of interest. So for some of our customers in a let's say financial sector, when they organize customer events, they are using Q&A to get the audience to ask questions, get the customers to ask questions. There are RM sitting with them as well. And they also are getting them to respond to some poll questions as well. So at the end of the day, when they look at the data, these are important information, of course, with customers' permission, that the organization can bring back and look at it and say that, hey, individual ABC, our customer, seems to be quite interested in areas X, Y. Then the RM in charge of the account is able to follow with the decision quite well. So there are tons of ways that you can design the lead generation process as part of the audience engagement seamlessly, of course, with the right procedures in place. What I mean by that's the collection of the customer data, whether it's about their personal info or the ability for them to mark them as anonymous when they ask a question or respond to something. I think this needs to be in place. Again, speak to us. There's a survey in our Q&A, and put down your details and we'll reach out to you, or you can reach out to us at hello@pigeonhole.com. We're happy to get you through the options that could work as customer events. Yep, so it looks like that's all. So thanks again for your attention. Hopefully it has been insightful for you. Wish you a great evening for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Joon. A sincere appreciation for your time today. Thank you very much on joining us on the main stage of ETS 2020. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
I believe that the interaction level on ETS Live site may be more than what you expect from a typical online event. Do you think so? We would definitely like to hear from you. Well, I believe that most of you are aware by now that there are in total of 3 halls for you to explore around, namely the Event Tech Hall, Event Venue Hall, and finally the Event Services Hall. Do you happen to know where is the booth of our gold sponsor Hello Holo? Before you check it from the floor plan, try guessing again. The answer is obviously Event Tech Hall with booth number 124. Have you checked out an exhibitor called Unique Event and Exhibition? Well, you can find them at booth number 325 in the Event Services Hall. Do you know what are other types of technology available in our Event Tech Hall? Well, I shall not spoil the surprises for you. Go and see it for yourself. After all, in the spirit of event and tech show to continuously discover and explore, we are very sure that there are a lot of new opportunities and hidden paths that you can find out. Some of these entry points can be found in the About Us section where you can find business descriptions. You might find some in the video asset, gallery view, or even the virtual chat room. One more fascinating feature that we can share with you is the attendee briefcase, which is kept within your navigation device. The briefcase acts as a collection of all the available packages, promotions, and deals that you should not miss out. For example, each attendee is eligible for an 1-hour complimentary space usage at Only Use Space. So grab your chance today by booking your free usage right now. Note that this promotion is available to the first 100 ETS attendees who book the usage by the end of the year. Also, in case you missed this from the sharing of TY from Monster Day Tour earlier on, each attendee can use the discount code to book the virtual bingo tour to the Silicon Valley of Singapore at One North on this Friday, 5th of September. Well, the list can go on, so do check it out yourself. Allow me to sidetrack a little bit. Do you remember that I mentioned that there are currently 2 challenges on this event and tech show with cool t-shirts to be won? I have introduced the photo challenge and seems like many of you are taking amazing shots to win my photo. Well, there is another creative challenge which I've also mentioned, which is the AR social media challenge. Yes, I'm sure that many of you, just like me, were amazed by the 3D logo upon entering the event and tech show live site. Well, the levitating 3-dimensional logo is not just something to catch our attention. When you hover over the logo, you will notice that there is a text button on the top right-hand corner saying AR. Simply click on the button and a QR code will appear for you to scan. I guess I should not hide the details of the challenge further. Once you have scanned the QR code, you can use the recommended mobile application to render the 3D logo in the very room you are in. This is where you can get creative on where you want to render on and take a snapshot of it. If you manage to take a perfect shot, share it on your social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter with the hashtags ETS 2020 and ETS 2020 AR Challenge. Then you will stand a chance to win a cool t-shirt delivered to your doorstep. Very soon, we'll be having our next speaker, Desmond Tan, who will be speaking about digitalize your event experience with esports social gaming. See you.